Okay, this lab is called the radio wave and electromagnetic fields. This is for Physics 160. So what you do is you will download this lab. I will show you. I'll send you email from where. And then when you come over here to this screen, and then you can click on oscillate. There, click on oscillate. You can see on the right side. You click on oscillate, and then you click on curve with vectors. You can see here are the vectors, the electric field vectors. Okay, you click on here, you see it says electric field, and then you click on electron positions there. Okay, and you can see here on this middle screen it says transmitter, which is this bar here that transmits, and receiver in this bar here, antenna that receives. You see that blue dot is the electron going up and down the transmitter, down this bar here. So when it goes up and down, it radiates electric field and magnetic field. But we're just looking at just the electric field. And you can see here the oscillation, the wave is traveling down in space, and then it goes to this antenna here, the receiver. And then that wave, it creates a force on the electron, and the electron will start to go up and down. And you can see here on the right side, here it says amplitude. If I decrease the amplitude, look what happened to here. The amplitude is from this center line to the peak. It gets shorter, it gets smaller. And look at for the receiver, it gets even more small. Now, what happened if you increase the amplitude? Look, I increase the amplitude here. Look what happened here to the wave. It's really going way up and down. And look at here the amplitude from the center of line to the peak. It's bigger. And look here, it's also bigger a little bit. So in this lab, what you need to do, you need to familiarize yourself with it first. See what happens if you change the frequency. Look, if we change the frequency, look what happens to the wave. Increase the frequency, look what happens to the wave. So you go at certain frequency, let's see in the middle, like that. And then you choose some amplitude. Look, I chose some amplitude. So what you do is, when you choose this amplitude, first of all, you calculate the frequency for this situation. You look at the frequency of the transmitter and the frequency of the receiver. Look at the transmitter. If you want to know the frequency, you can just measure the time from this peak to that peak. You have a stopwatch, and then you measure the time from that to that. That will be the period. And when you divide that period, you check 1 divided by that period, it will give you the frequency. And you do the same thing for the receiver. You look at from peak to peak, see what the time from peak to peak, you have a stopwatch, and then 1 over that period will give you the frequency. So you compare the frequency of the transmitter and the frequency of the receiver. Okay? Now what you do, you change the frequency. Okay, again, change the frequency, and then measure the frequency of the receiver and the receiver and transmitter. So do that 10 times, 10 frequencies, and then compare the frequency of the transmitter and the frequency of the receiver. You do it 10 times. Now for the amplitude, you choose some amplitude. Here, I chose some amplitude here, you see. And then you measure the height of the transmitter. You from the center line to the peak, get a ruler, measure the height, and measure here also. And then you do the ratio. the amplitude of the transmitter divided by the amplitude of the receiver. You're going to get some number. And then you go back to some other amplitude. I change the amplitude here. And then you keep doing the ratio, transmitter over receiver. And then you do again, transmitter over receiver. And then you could do it 10 times. Calculate the ratio of amplitude 10 times. So now, for the frequency, you do 10 times. Calculate the frequency 10 times, top, bottom. And same thing for 10 amplitude, calculate the ratio, not the amplitude of the top one and the amplitude of the bottom one. Because remember, you don't have a unit here for the Y. So you just do the ratio because the unit will cancel out. Okay? So you do that 10 times. And that's your lab for this lab. And it's due next Tuesday, April 14th. And look at here. You can, after you finish with this lab, you can just check. Click on curve, see what happened. If you do the curve, click on full field, see what happened. Okay, none, see what happened. Full field, look at the electric field here. Force and an electron, try all these here and see what will happen. And describe what's happening with this lab. And that's your lab. Okay? Good luck.